Hello and welcome to the Live, Love, Laugh Lives, where I'm interviewing some amazing, incredible souls who are sharing with us how they live their life, what they love, what their passion is, and also we'll hopefully have a few laughs along the way. And today I am joined by an incredible, amazing soul who I'm going to ask to introduce herself because you are my friend.
I'm Anita Davies.
And what do you do, Anita?
Well, my day job is that I'm a locality development manager for a charity who provides services to people when they lose their sight. And outside of my day job, I do lots of different therapies and I help people, well, find where they want to be in their life and achieve what they want to achieve.
Great. And if I was to say, why do you do what you do, what would your answer be?
I love watching people grow. I love watching people just get to where they want to be in life, feeling more happier, more positive, realising that they're just not limited by their disability or by the things that go on around in their lives, whether that be other people or the conditions that they find themselves in, really.
Yeah. And I remember the very first time I ever saw you, Anita, you actually had your hands on a gentleman that we know called Martin Sharp. And I remember thinking, what on earth is that woman doing? Grabbing that bloke from behind. So what were you doing with Martin at that stage?
Well, he had this bad back, and I have this thing that, this happens to me with complete strangers as well. And but somebody will be in pain or distress, and Martin actually had a bad back, and I said, oh well, I'll have a look at your back for you if you want. I said, I've only got to put my hands on certain points on your back or your body, and then I can help you get rid of the pain. And so I was actually using a technique called ernment at that point, which is an amazing technique. It helps with pain and it works quite quickly for people.
Emmett, that's what my husband calls visitors, because he's from Cornwall. So I think Emmett is the name of an ant, and so in Cornwall they say, "Oh, the Emmets are here," when all the visitors come to Cornwall. But Emmett, okay, good. Well, I know that you felt much better after that. So these techniques that you use, obviously you've had a few different techniques, haven't you, that you've learned in your time. I love the story about your crystals. So tell me a little bit about that. Share what that's all about.
So I got into crystals after going through a difficult time in my life. I had a divorce, had a baby, and moved house all in the one go. Wow. And my son has a physical disability, and I was go through the usual processes of having to fight education and social services and health, and just kind of getting the things that he needs. So I was in this kind of constant, like a hamster going around the wheels sort of thing. And I just thought, well, something has to change. And so I decided that either it would be go to the doctors and potentially have medication, which isn't kind of the thing. I just knew that wasn't going to work for me. Or maybe look at something else. So I decided to go down the complementary therapy route, and a friend said, well, let's go and do a crystal course. So I did a crystal course, and it was really interesting because you had to sleep and live and do everything with your crystals. So whether they were on my body or my bed or in my bath, or they were just kind of everywhere with me. Yeah. And it was just an amazing journey because I could see the change in me. In fact, I had a personal crystal which was pure see-through quartz. Wow. When I had it to start with, and then over about 3 months you could just, the whole part of the bottom of it, just about the crystal was say about 4 inches long, and then at least half of it just filled with pure whiteness from where he was just taking all of that stuff out of me that wasn't serving me anymore.
And so you created a program though, didn't you, that isn't to do with crystals, with your sister, didn't you? So what's that program and how does that help people?
So the program developed because my sister was going through a difficult time in her life, and I was able to help my sister through that difficult time that she had, and she'd been struggling for years and years, and then suddenly just by using some of the skills that I had, she just kind of transformed really within kind of 6 months. And within a year, she was like, oh, we should be just doing this for other people. So we created a formula called the Fabulous Family Formula. It works for individuals or for families. And it's really about taking you through a process from where you look at how you feel safe in your life. And then you look at what does that mean for you. And you look at your story and what is your story about and what parts do you play in the story and who else is involved in the story. And you look at where do you want to be? What would you like your life to be like? instead of like where I was on the hamster wheel, you know, what is it you want? Do you want to get off the hamster wheel and do you want something else? So, and then he looks at what are the strategies you've got for that, and what are you currently using? What's working, what isn't? And then we look at like, well, what is that success for you? And then what is your self-care as well? So what are you doing for you every day? And what do you know and what do you understand about you? So we take you through these processes so you can learn those different stages, and then you can be who you want to be and you can understand who you are as well.
Great. A lot of people don't really know who they are, do they? You know, they kind of like go through life just existing, really let life happen to them. And so, you know, let's talk about you and your sight, because that is something that you've had ever since you were born, I think, isn't it? You were born blind, is that correct?
Well, I was born with my condition, which is called anorexia, and it's a rare condition. It means I have no irises. So I've only got an enlarged pupil, which means all the light just goes into my brain. So when there's too much light, I just can't see anything at all. And then when it's dark, I can't see anything at all because I've got no light.
I know the feeling of like, I'm a bit night blind, but I mean...
Yeah. So I just can't filter it in and out. So if the lighting's right, I can pick up colour and I can pick up kind of shapes of things. And a lot of it is actually done on logic. So my brain kind of knows, well, you know, if I walk into a room and there's a big, large, oblong looking thing, then it's probably a sofa. Do you mean? So sometimes I get it wrong. Sometimes I kiss the wrong people, you know, got in the wrong cars. There are lots of like things now you can, you know, I laugh at those things now, but at the time I'm just like, oh my gosh, I tried shoving my daughter into the wrong car. Even when she was going, Mom, and she's tried to tell me it's not the right car. So lots of different things, you know, you do lots of different things that are maybe, you know, at the time you can think, oh, that was terrible, or I knew to kind of just have to pick yourself up, get over it and move on. Like, you know, I've fallen off bikes, out of trees and ponds. I've done all sorts of things. A&E used to just keep my file open.
Keep a special room for Anita. Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Davies. It's Anita again. But yeah, so I mean, but I decided, you know, even though as a child, I went to a blind school, and it was kind of strange in school because you had people saying to you, look, you can do these things. And then outside of school, I had people who would tell me that maybe I couldn't, or tell my parents I couldn't or shouldn't and things. And you just like, you feel almost like you're in this, well, I could, I couldn't. But I've always kind of been of the nature that, well, and if I wasn't already in the nature, which I think I was, but I certainly developed into a nature of like, well, if somebody says to me, you can't do that, then I have to go and prove them wrong. And I suppose that's what I've always kept to in my life, really.
Yeah. And do you bring this, you know, when you're working with your clients, you know, if they say, oh, I don't know if I can do that, is this where you think that you kind of like, is this where you pull the kind of positivity from, do you think, from your life experiences? Yeah,
no, definitely. I mean, I was talking to one of my clients earlier, who's now, she works for me as one of my volunteers, you know, and I said to her, well, how would you describe me? And she said, Anita, she said, I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for the way, you know, I only have to talk to you, she said, and I feel so positive in my life. She feels that she could do anything now. You know, she often tells people about how she was afraid to just catch a train from, say, Swansea to Cardiff. She was absolutely terrified by it. And I said to her, you can do this. You know, I said, I will meet you at the train station. And I said, all you have to do is get on the train, ask for assistance. And anyway, she got on the train, she'd done the journey. And she was like, oh my gosh, I did it. Like, you know, but I just love, you know, the way that I just had that natural ability to inspire people, to give them that possibility, for them to think about also, well, how could you do this then? You know, what do you think you could change so you could do it? Because I have lots of tools about how I could do it, but we need to kind of find out, well, how does that work for you? And this is why it's important to understand who you are as a person, what you think your limitations are, because we can then overcome those limitations.
Yeah. And you know, you're so inspiring, Anita, and at the same time, you know, there have been some really dark moments for you, haven't there? You know, I know that we both do a little bit of distraction with humour, don't we? You know, if something's going shit, we're going to start, we'll make a joke out of it, just you know, and in those moments, you know, if you'd have had somebody like you and your sister with a formula to help you, then that would have made those times better. Would that be a fair assumption of why you're doing what you're doing now then? Oh no, definitely, yeah, definitely. I mean, along my journey, I've had, you know, people I've met that have inspired me and helped me along the way. But what the formula does is it brings all of those things for you into one place. So whereas I've met
different people along my journey at different points of my journey and at different times that have helped me. This formula is just like almost bring in all of those different groups of people, all of those things that I've learned, those skills, those strategies, those just everything, whether it be through the therapies that I've done, whether it be through my work as a community councillor and the charities that I volunteered for. You know, there's just such a variety that I've had in my life and that I've done and that I've achieved. And I've just kind of just tried drawing all that together to save somebody having to go and, well, I suppose to find all of that out, because it does take time, you know. And there is actually a section in the course which is actually about how do you find out the things that you don't know about, and how do you develop those skills to do that.
Yeah, brilliant. So we know that you have had numerous experiences in your life. You've shared with us how you live a little bit. I'm sure if anybody wants to find out more, they can, you know, they can find out by connecting with you, Anita. We know what you love. Your love, you know, for other people and helping them to grow is just like obvious. I love your smile. You've just got one of those smiles that radiates and fills a room. And oh my God, we've just laughed and laughed and laughed on the stories of you, you know, in Wales going down on a bike and thinking that all of a sudden there's a shape there and you've realised they're people, and you've thrown yourself in the road, haven't you, to avoid hitting people. I love the stories I said before about your crystals and how you had to move those out of the way when you found somebody else to share the bed with you. I love that. I just want to say thank you for just being an incredible human, or incredible soul having a human experience. I always like to give a gift to my guests when they come with me, so I would like to gift you. Let me have a quick see what I can pull out here. A very special crystal for you.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
And say thank you so much for being part of this process and helping us to live, love and laugh every day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. Thank you.
Very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.